This is budget.
I think we're good to go.
Except I can't put my hands on an agenda that has that preamble.
Chamber.
That's what I thought. Okay.
All right, there's the answer.
Preambles anymore.
We don't need the preambles? Okay. 7 o'clock on June 14th, 2021. I'd like to call the Human Affairs Committee to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderwoman Shoshana Kelly.
I'm here, I'm alone, and I can hear everyone.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
I am present in the chamber.
Alderman Karen.
I am here and in the chamber.
Alderman Wilshire is here, and Alderman O'Brien was subbing for us for a quorum, so.
And I'm present and I'm in the chamber.
Great. I also have in attendance, says Director Bagley. I'm looking. Yes, I see her. Deputy Police Chief James Testaverde, Carrie Skena, and anyone else. There are a number of aldermen in the chamber who are present. We have Alderman Dowd, Alderman Jetty, Alderman Schmidt. Is that everybody?
I think so.
You're on the
Okay.
Alderwoman
Okay.
Lou is on video.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We're doing the hybrid. It's fun. We've got lots of people to look for. Okay. With that, we'll go into public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to give comment on anything we'll be discussing this evening? Don't see anyone on here. Do you see anyone in the chamber?
No.
Okay, great. Then we will move into communications.
We have a communications from Carrie Skena, Urban Programs Manager, regarding Resolution 21-149 and Resolution 21-150.
If there's no objection, I'll accept and place the communication on file. Unfinished business?
We have none.
New business resolutions.
Before us, we have Resolution 21-137, relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $352,078 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services into Public Health and Community Services Grant Activity, FY 2022 Regional Public Health Network Services. I would make a motion to recommend final passage of Resolution 21-137.
Right, the motion is for final passage. Director Bagley, are you here to speak on this one?
I am, thank you. So this funding that we're receiving from the state is for our Public Health Network Services grants. It does include several of our programs, which includes our Public Health Emergency Preparedness. It also includes our Continuum of Care, which focuses on substance misuse prevention funding. It also includes our funding for our Public Health Advisory Council, which we call our FAC. This is funding for 1 year, and it's in a contract that is, what do I want to say? It's a directly funded contract to Division of Public Health and Community Services as a sole source grant funding. And this is work that will allow for us funding that will allow for us to continue maintaining the efforts that we have been for emergency preparedness, not just for COVID, but for any other biological or hazards that may happen throughout the city over the next fiscal year. It does employ the majority of our community services staff, which includes our public health emergency preparedness coordinator, a portion of the salary for our behavioral health specialist, which is our substance misuse prevention coordinator. It includes funding to support part of our epidemiologist position, as well as the public health administrative assistant position as well. And so the state has provided this funding for us over a number of years. And like I mentioned earlier, this is just for a 1-year contract for fiscal year 2022. I'm not sure if there are any questions that the committee has, there are no additional funds that have to be provided by the city for this work to be done.
Thank you, Director Bagley. Does anyone from the committee have any questions? If you're in the chamber, can you just give me a, yeah, there we go. Nothing from the chamber?
No one.
Miles might have a question, but I don't think we'd understand it. Okay, then I think we're ready to call the roll.
Okay, Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
And Alderman Wilshire votes yes. We have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries. Thank you, Director Bagley.
Also before us this evening, we have Resolution 21-138, relative to the acceptance and appropriation of $25,563.84 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Safety State Homeland Security Grant Program into Police Grant Activity 2020 Homeland Security Grant Program. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage of Resolution 21-138 by roll call.
The motion on the floor is final passage. Is someone from the police department here? I think I said.
Yes, Kevin Pasillo, the grant
Thank you.
manager. I'm the new grant manager.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to speak on behalf of the grant?
Sure. If you could just give us a quick overview, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
So this is a second part. We got awarded a grant last year for 9 of the night vision goggles. This grant will allow us to staff the entire SWAT team with the new night vision goggles. There's no match required for this. And with this new technology, it's going to allow our SWAT team members to be able to have the same technology as the other SWAT teams throughout the state.
Thank you for that. Do any of the committee members or aldermen have any questions?
Can't see you.
I can't see you. If you're in the chamber and you have your hand raised, just give me a verbal cue.
Lori.
Alderman Wilshire.
Thank you. I'd just like to say this is money well spent, and thank you for stepping up to be the new grant manager.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Of course. Anyone else? I'd like to say welcome as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight. Okay, then I think we can call a roll.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. You have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries.
Thank you all.
Next before us tonight, we have Resolution 21-149, approving the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Home Investment Partnership Program funds by NeighborWorks of Southern New Hampshire for 40 Ash Street. I will make a motion to recommend final passage of Resolution 21-149 by roll call.
Motion on the floor is to recommend final passage. I see Carrie Skana here, and then it looks like there's also someone here from NeighborWorks, but let's start with you, Carrie.
Good evening, Carrie Skina, manager of the Urban Programs Department. So I can speak. I have 2 resolutions before the committee tonight. This is the first. This is utilizing our home funds, which we receive from HUD, and the intended use of those funds is to develop affordable housing. There's a special set aside that we put into the resolution each year that we call CHODO funding, Community Housing Development Organization. And NeighborWorks qualifies as such an agency. They're a nonprofit whose focus is affordable housing. So they came to us, they recently purchased a property at 40 Ash Street. It's a 4-unit building that is partially occupied right now. I believe it's 2 occupied, 2 vacant, and it's in need of some substantial rehab. So these funds would go toward that project. I do see that Jennifer Vadney from NeighborWorks is also on the call. So if there's anything additional, either that she wants to add, or if there are questions, we welcome those from the committee.
Thank you, Carrie. Jennifer, did you want to add anything before I open it up to the committee?
Just to say thank you for the consideration, and Carrie really summed it up nicely. There are 2 vacancies right now. We're ready to start construction. It's in dire need of improvements.
Thank you, and thank you for your commitment to affordable housing here in Nashua. Is there anyone from the committee who has questions?
No one in the chamber.
Yeah, it does cut to you guys eventually. Nice and
I have a
quiet over
question.
there. Okay.
Linda has a question.
Alderman Harry Gathright.
Yes. I'm just curious, how much is this, the funding for this?
Carrie, do you have the answer in front of you?
Sure. So the resolution is authorizing up to $207,460. It's an odd number, but that's our current balance of CHODO funding. The NeighborWorks has put in a request. They actually just revised it due to some updated construction costs. I think everybody's aware right now what's happening in the construction industry and how that's changing very rapidly, almost day by day. So we've, in the resolution, we'd like to authorize the full amount of CHODO funding. We don't think we'll go up to that upper bumper, but rather than have to come back as those bids come in, we wanted to handle it that way.
I have a question. So if we do not use all of those funds, do we have to then do another resolution to then use them for something else? Or can we allocate it next year when we redo our allocations?
Right. So if we don't utilize it, it will remain because it still has to be used for a CHODO purpose. And so until the next project comes along, we would then reprogram it from this use to that use, rather than it just sitting in the line item that it sits in each year.
Okay. I mean, I can't, with construction costs the way they are, I wouldn't be surprised if they used all of it, but just wondering what happened. So thank you. Anyone else from the chamber have questions?
I don't see anyone.
You can call the roll, please.
Motion before us is for recommend final passage of Resolution 21-149. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderman Wiltshire votes yes. We have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
That motion carries.
Next before us this evening, we have Resolution 21-150, amending the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Annual Action Plan for fiscal years 21 and 22 relative to the Community Development Block Grants, CDBG. I'll make a motion to recommend final passage by roll call.
The motion on the floor is for final passage. Carrie, did you want to speak on this? I know there was a little bit of a complication this year that you wanted to talk to. Go for it.
Sure. So this is related to our what we call entitlement award, which is the amount that we receive from HUD each year. We had already gone through the process of doing our annual action plan and, already came to Human Affairs Committee, did our public hearings. And just as we were about to submit for the May 15th deadline, HUD announced that they needed to revise the allocations. And so it was something that came from their headquarters office. And our citizen participation plan outlines how we would handle allocating funds or new activities, which is the process we're doing now to come back through the board into Human Affairs. It's not enough of an amount to warrant what we call a substantial amendment. So we don't need to do an official public hearing or a 30-day comment period. Once this works through the regular resolution process, we can go ahead and move, but we could not submit our action plan until we addressed this change. So in addition to the increase, which the increase is $9,742, it's only the CDBG program. Home was not affected, so we didn't need to do anything with that. And since we had to come back to the committee, we figured we would also clean up some other activities that were outstanding. There were a few balances to reprogram. The front door agency had submitted or had reached out and talked to us about possibly changing the use of their fiscal year 21 grant. And so knowing we were coming back, we wanted to close that loop with them. And there's a memo attached to the back of the back of my memo, really explaining that change. So they had received funds in fiscal year 21 to do some rehab on one of their transitional housing units. And they ended up being able to use CARES Act funding through the governor's office to do that. And so they identified this other project on Vine Street, very similar use, similar rehab, and asked if they could allocate the funds to that address instead. And then the last change was to take some of that increase and apply it towards Sandy Pond. The Parks and Rec Department, again, conversations that have been happening over the last several months, they were possibly thinking that they were not going to be able to do Sandy Pond with the amount that was awarded to them last fiscal year. And they were considering maybe canceling the Los Amigos Park, which was funded last year as well, and asking to roll the money over to Sandy Pond because it's in more dire need of rehab. So when I mentioned that we had to come back to the committee for this increase and would they like to make those changes, they sort of got a little excited and said, well, can we use the increase towards Sandy Pond and then still be able to do both projects? So I spoke with the new superintendent of Parks and Rec. He wasn't able to join tonight, but basically Sandy Pond last year when they requested 35,000 and was awarded 10. So this would add another 15 and it still only brings it up to 25,000 for a total. It's still less than their original request, but it's enough that they would be able to do some of the critical things over there, which just to refresh the committee was there needs to be a new dock constructed. So again, just speaking back to the cost of wood and construction right now. And then beyond the dock, if there's budget permitting, they would like to update some of the playground equipment and the grills and other space. And so the dock would be contracted out and the other pieces would be done with internal labor force. So that's that sort of complicated resolution and what happened there.
So in the past, we've had to put this through, do a public hearing, and then talk about allocations. Since we don't have to have a public hearing, did you want us to take up this matter and allocate it tonight?
Yes, that would be the preference, is to get the funds allocated and the other activities cleaned up within this resolution. Because again, our action plan is on hold until we can finalize the award amount and what the activities will be.
Okay. Alderman Wilshire, I mean, I'll open it up to questions for the committee, but do we need to make a second motion to make the allocations, or does the one on the floor stand?
The one on the floor would stand.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so then I'll open up to questions from the committee, please. We're a quiet bunch tonight. Okay, I'm all set. I don't see anyone in the chamber. I think we can call the roll.
Okay. Motion is for recommend final passage of resolution 21-150. Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Sorry. Alderman Harriet.
I said yes.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. We have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
And that motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Kina. That is all I see for business. We have new business ordinances
We have none?
tabled in committee.
None?
Is there any general discussion from our committee? Okay. Unless public has shown up, is there any public comment? I see a couple people in the gallery, but I don't think they're public. I think I see CFO Griffin's head. I don't know who the other one is. Oh, I know it is. Dave Fredette. Okay. Do we have any remarks by Alderman? All right. I don't think we need a non-public. Do I have a motion?
A motion to adjourn at 7:19.
Motion to adjourn. Can you call the roll, please?
Alderwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Yes.
Alderman Karen.
Yes.
Alderman Wilshire votes yes. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
And we are adjourned at 7:19. Very efficient. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
The budget committee is immediately following on this link, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to go on mute till we're ready.
14th,
You gotta give me a cue to put it on.
thought you were watching the clock. Okay. It's June 14th, 2021. I'd like to call the meeting of the Budget Review Committee to order. We are in the Aldermatic Chamber, and there's also availability for people